welcome in. Hail to the podcast brought to you by Maize and Blue Review. It's been a while. Stuff happens, whatever. We figured we'd sneak in before the Lions game here, talk a little Michigan football. Myself, Trevor McCue, senior editor, Maize and Blue Review. I hate how much that rhymes. Joined as always, Josh Henschke, insider, publisher, Mr. Maize and Blue Review himself. How you doing?
Good. I did that on purpose.
You are colorful.
Yeah. I didn't really do a good job mixing and matching here, but I had to just throw on a hat because I'm due for a haircut. And
I'm tucked in this thing here.
I don't want to mess with my hair right now just for a podcast. I love these folks, but not that much.
You're pulling off like the same vibes as my 8-year-old, which is like, I'm gonna wear whatever I want to wear. I don't care how it looks together.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly right.
Exactly. All right. Green on during Little Bro Week. Josh, what the hell?
I don't care.
I know, I don't really.
Is your hat green? No, your hat's green.
No, your hat's green. It's like forest green.
Oh, yeah. Look at us. Yeah. It's the anti-jinx.
I have never been less. I don't know what the right term is, but this game this week. It's since the tunnel incident, I guess, I just want to get over it. I want it to happen and move on. Like, I have no excitement in this rivalry. Every other sport's fine, but like I've said before, like with the protected rivalries and blah, 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 like I wouldn't care if the MSU game wasn't protected anymore. I'm just so done with the shenanigans and then like the constant tribalism of like, well, you made us hit you with a helmet because you danced into the tunnel. And then, yeah, sure, that guy pushed Colston first, but then he pushed back. It's just like, why does this always happen in Michigan? It doesn't. It's like, had a tunnel for 100 years. And it wasn't
more.
Huh?
So who's wrong more?
Yeah, and that was my thing too. Like, when I get in debates with people about it, when it's like, oh, you know, whoever twisted this person's helmet. Yep, somebody did it to Denard too. Both sides have like instances of stupidity, and you know, Devin Bush got clotheslined and then he acted like an idiot and kicked the logo, and like both sides do this crap, you know. But for me, it was like the tunnel thing was a whole nother level. There was nothing comparable to that, and it's just it felt like the tone had been turned. I even tweeted this like in one of the worst timed tweets ever right before the game ended last year. I was like, you know, both coaches, Smith and Moore, have done a good job of trying to, you know, tone this down a little bit, take some of the rhetoric out. And I'm glad they were able to just play this game. And then they had the scuffle at the end. And I'm like, damn it, they almost got out of there. But anyway, we'll get into the Washington game and the carryover and some of the actual football. But yeah, the rivalry itself, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on right now with Michigan State and the way they view Jonathan Smith. And we'll get into that as well. But like, I saw it was a night game, Josh. And I'm like, oh, like I'm not excited about this game at all. I just want to get through it, get it over with.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst thing ever. It's literally the worst thing ever. Michigan State at home, Michigan State at night. I think
4 years in a row now after not having at all.
Awful. It's so bad. It's terrible. And it's not even because of all the other crap of like the tunnel and the post game stuff. It just sucks. Like, it's just this, and in this game too, no one cares about this game, like outside of Michigan and Michigan State fans. And even then, like the interest in this game heading into it is so below like giving a crap. It's not even funny. What's going on?
Blake just said something and I looked it up and it's unbelievable, but keep going.
Honestly, I forgot that it was Michigan State week until today. Like, I sat down to cut up Sharon's audio from his press conference today, and there was a question about Michigan State, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it is Michigan State week, because we had Dusty earlier in the day too, so you know, I wasn't really thinking about the opponent, but yeah, I totally forgot it was even Michigan State week. That's how little I just have not given thought to any of this stuff so far. But Obviously, we've got some more pressing matters at hand here on the screen.
This is crazy. Okay. Blake just posted, did you see one of the tunnel kids? It's not one of the tunnel kids. It's Crump. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Rice Owls cornerback Kari Crump. Yeah, that's such a tough name. Kari Crump was ejected during the team's loss against UTSA. As officials tried to break up the play, Crump was seen pushing one official, throwing a punch while in the pile, led to his ejection. And then this is an older article. It's just the first one that came up, but it says he's since been kicked off the team. He was at Houston Christian before. Does it mention the tunnel? It's got to mention the tunnel, right? Oh, that's sad, but there you go.
That's
glad to see that. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, I think I've been thinking of this season in thirds, and it's really impacted the way I've responded to a lot of it, to be honest with you. Like, so getting into the bye week, I was like, okay, if Michigan goes 3-1 and Bryce doesn't look like a bad freshman or making like critical freshman mistakes, and we see this kind of progress and blah, blah, I'll be happy. And that's where I was. And that's why even after the Nebraska game being closer than it should have been, and some of that, I was like, guys, they're 3-1. They lost to Oklahoma, who now looks like they have the best defense in the country. You know, Mateer was electric at that point. They're 1-0 in the Big Ten. I'm cool. And we're going in the bye week. We're going to fix some things. Fine. And then they come out of the bye week flat.
Yep.
Against Wisconsin. And it's like, okay, I would have liked to see a spark. I referenced the Northwestern game last year post-bye. That second half of Indiana kind of felt like where they found themselves bye week. And then we know how the season ended. I thought that would happen out of this bye. And instead, a little flat. And then they go to USC. And I know we're late to this guy. We haven't been up for a little while here. But go to USC. And both USC and Oklahoma are games that Michigan was expected to lose, right? On the road, tough environments, literally favored. Come on. I mean, at the beginning of the year, those were the games people were circling, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that crazy. The problem was how they lost and how bad they looked, losing 3 pressures, 14 missed tackles. And, again, already been through it. The outrage amongst the fan base was obviously, I thought, crazy. I mean, I get the frustration, but like, I always tell people, like, you think you're pissed, you're not more mad than the players. You're not more mad than the coaches, right? And I wrote my article because I try to keep it real. And I said, look, this is an identity problem for Michigan and Sharon. He's got to fix it. And we reported all week about these tough conversations and these things that were happening. And, some of it was getting reported in some places in a negative way about like this finger pointing and blah, blah, blah. But I think it was just accountability. I think it was the end of when you're a player's coach, sometimes you become just a friend. And it felt like kind of the end of that. There was some players held out of the game, likely for disciplinary reasons, right? Like, statement was made, and then the team comes out and makes a statement on the field in a big win, especially in that second half. And again, I think about that Indiana game last year where it felt like the team kind of found a groove. Obviously, they got to do it again, right? Central felt like a spike and so on. But again, if I'm thinking of this season in thirds, you lost Oklahoma 3-1. You lose USC. You got your 2 losses. Get to the next bye, and there's a world that's not crazy to think about. You're 9-2 playing Ohio State for a chance to get into the playoff.
Yeah, I think anything is on the table right now. I mean, if anything, Ohio State proved last year that you can make the playoff and win it all with 2 losses. So I don't think that's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, you're talking about, you separate the Big Ten into tiers. I mean, obviously Ohio State's in a tier of its own. And then next you've got Oregon in their own tier. Of course they are. Yeah. Oregon is safely sitting there in their own tier for now until they, we'll see what happens until they somehow manage to Oregon it like they always do. But I do think Michigan is probably in its own tier right now, especially considering, how USC played against Notre Dame. I think,
losing again.
I think they're probably the third right now. I'm talking specifically right now. they're probably the third Big Ten team in, if that's the direction things go. And I'm not. You can make an argument that the committee would want to pick a 9-3 Michigan team over somewhere else that's maybe fringe too, just because of the money it'll bring in and the eyeball. So there's still, even with 3 losses, I think there's a chance, not a big chance, but I still think the window's open there for Michigan to make the playoff. But that third loss has got to be against Ohio State. It can't be against anyone else from here onward to Ohio State. And this is the part of the schedule where it gets quote unquote easier. We've seen multiple times this year that anyone can beat anyone in this league, but you're talking specifically on paper. This Washington game was kind of the inflection point here. Like, if they come out and lay an egg, this could absolutely snowball. Nothing else would be guaranteed. And I'm not saying that anything that the rest of the way is going to be smooth sailing for Michigan, but I think, if you're talking about kind of that, renaissance that Michigan had last year, I think, if things continue to go the same way, and regardless of what happens against Ohio State, you're going to point to the second half renaissance against Washington really turning things around, like the second half against Indiana. Or no, it was more kind of, you saw it kind of against Oregon in the second half, but things really kind of flipped the switch against Indiana in the second half. So I think this will be the point where you can kind of circle and be like, yeah, these guys put their big boy pants on and made it work through the rest of the year, and in a favorable schedule, outside of obviously the Ohio State game at the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, this was the moment. They come out and lose on Saturday, and you're not going, if you're Sharon Moore, you're not going to have any any supporters. I mean, you're not going to have any friends. But good thing they don't have to worry about that. This is a big game coming up. It's always a big game. It's the Michigan State week. It's always a big game, regardless of where one program is compared to the next. And a big win this weekend just continues to build that momentum, and continue to prove that it might not look as pretty during the middle portions of the season, but how they react to the bumps and twists and turns of the season is really what matters. So first big test done. There's going to be a few more down the road here, but I mean, everything, outside of a Big Ten championship, likely not ahead of them, but everything else is still definitely on the table.
Yeah, and I think Big Ten championship was the higher end pipe dream level, not pipe dream, but when we talked about relative expectations, if this then that kind of thing, right?
But, right, and if they go 10-2 and don't even make the Big Ten championship,
who
cares? It doesn't.
Well, there was a tweet today, and I referenced it. That very likely the Big Ten championship game and the SEC championship game will be nothing more than an exhibition game.
Right.
Because they're not doing the auto buys for conference winners this year, because that was set up for a world where there was a P5, right? Yeah. And now we have a Power 4, and what we really have is a Power 2, right? And if you look at last year, even had they not done the reseed, that's exactly what would have happened. You would have had 2 Big Ten and 2 SEC teams with buys. Mm-hmm. And that's probably going to happen again. And that was my big pushback even going into the 12 team last year, was there's no advantage for winning your tournament. I would argue it's a disadvantage. And it played out when you look at Oregon and Ohio State, because, Oregon got a bye. No, they didn't. They had to play a neutral site game against Penn State. Ohio State played the same number of games, but they got a home playoff game against Tennessee, and they both end up at the Rose Bowl. Oregon, undefeated, conference champions, Big Ten, beat Ohio State during the year. Ohio State 10-2, lost to Oregon on the road, tough game, whatever, but that they lost. and then lost to their rival 20-point dogs, blah, blah. And here they are at the Rose Bowl in the exact same position.
And kick the crap out of Oregon too, like that.
Right, which happens a lot in rematches, right?
Right.
Look, this isn't me trying to take anything away. I've said this before. Like, I think you can have a conversation about Ohio State's regular season versus what they did in the playoff, like that run in the playoff. They won the tournament.
Sure.
They did. It's not their fault that it expanded to 12 teams and they took advantage of that. Like, it'd be stupid to blame them for that, right? So
I think
that's not what I'm trying to say. It's that the format, they got to figure something out where otherwise just get rid of the conference championship games because I don't want to play in it.
Yeah, I mean, the conference championships really is going to come down to who can afford a loss the most. It's not even the prestige of winning it. It's who can afford to lose the most in order to get to college football playoff. Because
Indiana and Ohio State could play in the Big Ten championship game. That's probably the most likely scenario at this point.
Yep.
And Indiana is going to want to win that game.
Oh, big time.
Badly.
Big time.
And Ohio State might rest their players.
That would be a sad state of affairs.
But why wouldn't you?
Right. No, and the sad thing is too, I wouldn't disagree. I hate on that decision.
No, it's so flawed right now.
Right.
And, to your point, Michigan potentially being the fourth team. Look, it was a good weekend. There's no way around it. USC losing to Notre Dame. I mean, you could argue Notre Dame losing is better because then that takes away a spot, right? Because they've got such a cushy gig right now with their independence. And then USC losing kind of hurts the view of that loss for you. But just in terms of the stacking, obviously, USC loses, Illinois loses. Nebraska was the one where you look and go, man, they might actually finish the year with just that one loss. You beat Washington. Maryland's fallen off a cliff, whatever. So at this point in front of you or with you, you've got Northwestern who you play and obviously don't expect to finish 10-2. You've got USC, which, you'll have to see how their year plays out, in Iowa. So like they're in a good position to get to that 9-2 playing Ohio State. And for me, look, losing to Ohio State at this point, it would be hard for people to accept, right? You've won 4 straight. But if we're being realistic, if they finish the year 9-3, and again, I feel like Bryce, we've seen the progress made. He's looked like a freshman because he is one, but he's really yet to make those critical game costing mistakes. Or that, like, there was the one interception against Central where it was like, hey, he probably didn't need to throw that. You know what I mean? And some of the things where he's been flustered, we can tie to offensive line play. Some of the things with, wide receiver drops. Like there's a lot of things we can put stuff on. And not trying to make excuses, right? But just being realistic about the situation. You've pointed out too, youngest team in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yep.
And I would say like those young players are playing well. Like I'd argue, and that's another conversation we could have where it feels like the young guys are the ones really stepping up. Derek Moore had a great game against Washington. That was nice to see a good veteran presence, obviously. But look, it's a young team. Injuries, again, have been stupid. Justice Haynes looks like a potential Heisman candidate, and boom, there you go. He's hurt, right? The tight end situation, I have no idea what's going on in there anymore. Glad to see our favorite football neck, Zach Marshall, have a big day. Deacon Tonielli got a good catch. So whatever happens there. But anyway, my point is, from the start of the year to now, we've seen the progress. And people hate the offensive line because we're comparing the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. It's way better than it was last year. It's getting better, right? The offense, compared to 2023, it's way better than it was last year, right? Way better, so
close.
Yeah, so I mean, unless, with Michigan State now, I think Washington came at the right time. In a weird way, the USC loss forcing this like reset might have been a good thing. If they can go in, win the football game cleanly, and just go home, right? Then you start to like go. I mean, again, losing the game is a completely catastrophic situation, obviously. But you go, okay, we've got Purdue. and then we play Northwestern. We get a bye, right? Like
Right.
Michigan State, Purdue. Then we get the bye. Then we play Northwestern and go to Maryland, who's doing what they do, which is lose games in the second half of the year.
Oh, they do it better than anyone, really.
It's so crazy. Every time you think Mike Loxley's finally got it saved, you know.
Yeah.
So I think this is a big game because it's a rivalry, and Sharon Moore has not lost to Michigan State or Ohio State yet. They are very down. I said the worst thing Jim Harbaugh could have done in 2020 was losing that game and giving MSU oxygen that season, right? Like with Jonathan Smith on the ropes, which he should or shouldn't be. That's a different conversation probably. But like,
right.
Man, you just can't give MSU anything this week and let them sneak up on you. You win the game and it's like, okay, duplicate what you did against Washington, something tangible that becomes a trend in a positive way. And yeah, 9-2 versus Ohio State is entirely realistic to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, when someone asks, like, what do you want to see, you know, Michigan do in this game against Michigan State? I don't care. I don't care what they do as long as they win. I don't want to, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I want to see, you know, 250 passing yards. I want to see Justice Haynes healthy. I just want them to win and get out of there and just keep rolling. I mean, it's this rivalry game is always so dumb, and dumb things always happen that you can never really point to one thing and being like, oh yeah, this changed the season. I mean, the 49-0 game was, you know, that happened. Like, yeah, that was probably the expected result, but you know, that's probably the first game in God knows how long in that rivalry where it's like that was the expected result and that's what happened.
Yeah, but keep in mind they have an interim head coach in that game.
Right.
And that's the first game after the Stallions nonsense breaks.
Yeah.
MSU is going out there saying, for player safety, we don't want to play the game. And then they spent, like, I don't remember how long, but the first half having the quarterback running back and forth. And then they just stopped doing it because it was obviously a stunt. It was stupid. And they were getting their ass kicked. So they're like, all right, I guess we should, you know, what a joke. That was such an embarrassing reaction. But anyway, yeah, that's really the only, well, was it 19? What year was it when it was 44-10 or whatever? Was that 19?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But even that game, MSU scored first.
Right.
It was like something where Michigan ran away late. That was 2019 where gets the interception and instead of trying to run it back, toss.
That was pretty
what
cool.
a baller move, Levert.
Was that no, that wasn't the year. No, because I was thinking if that was the first year that Donovan Peoples-Jones did that. That was in East Lansing where he did the Paul Bunyan in the end zone. That was 18, right? Yeah, that was 18. Yeah. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, where the Levert flexing on the dude.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna run this back. I'm gonna step out of bounds so I can taunt you.
Yeah. That's such a baller move.
It really is. Yeah.
Oh man. Like they'll get that confidence back soon. Like that's gonna be this progress defense in a couple of years when these older guys, when these younger guys are getting experience. And that'll be that defense soon enough. I'm convinced of that.
They're not scared to play those freshmen in the secondary. There's been some pushback on that actually because we saw it against the end of Nebraska, end of Wisconsin. They give up points on those last drives. They were out there in big moments to get watched against Washington too.
Throw their asses to the fire. Light them under them. It's only going to make them better in the future, and they've responded. The hit rate, the response rate has been incredible. So good. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing this, and I'm glad they're not playing favorites. You know, in on one side of the ball, they're not playing favorites, but you know, I think there should be a couple of more younger players playing over experienced ones. But it's only going to make this defense and offense better off. I mean, if you are achieving your goals, you know, 2-3 years down the line, whatever frustrations you were feeling in the USC loss, in the Oklahoma loss, you know, it'll all be worth it. I mean, it's just, you know, it's it's all worth it. I mean, if you're winning and you're going through growing pains, I don't know what more you can ask for other than going undefeated, which I just don't think is realistic.
Well, and again, I think there's a fault of comparing to not only the 2023 year, but frankly, a version of Michigan that never existed.
Right.
Because like even the people that were like, oh, we never had games like this with Harbaugh where they struggled so much in the first half. Bro, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Do you not remember how many games it was like, wow, we should be up by more? I had the list. I'm not going to sit here and rant it off. I made the list because I needed to know. And then they ran away in the second half. That's just how they won, So, but anyway, I get it. How they lost.
And no game of football is ever the same. Like that's what kind of drives me nuts is that people put like games in a vacuum. Even like comparing, like I'm just making an example here, like comparing how Michigan played in against Central Michigan in terms of how they responded against, I don't know, Nebraska or whatever. They're not the same. You don't win a game of football the same way. I mean, it may look similar, but it's not the same way. There's different ways of winning games, and even like from this year, even to last year, you can't compare games the same way. It's just, nothing is ever the same and can be compared. I mean, you can compare wins and losses, sure, and what a team looks like in terms of mentality and physicality, but how you win or lose games is never the same. It's never the same.
There were tangible things from that USC game that mattered, and then there's stuff where it's like sometimes there's bad games too, like the transitive property thing just doesn't work, right? Yep. But there was absolutely things that were a problem. And again, my whole argument was if you don't see the coaches and players responding to it, then that's a problem. But otherwise, I promise you they care more than you do. Yep. Like, I don't know if anybody's been in a film room when they've missed a bunch of tackles, but that had to be brutal.
Passes.
Let's get into some of the momentum swing, which is coming from young players, in my opinion. Okay, so this felt like a boring game from Bryce Underwood. Is that a fair way to put it? Like, I don't know what the right term is I'm looking for. Yeah, but he completed 78% of his passes for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, and 0 turnover worthy plays.
I think that's just you're watching him grow up. It's ho hum. It was kind of like ho hum pedestrian type of day almost, but that's him growing up and turning into a really good quarterback where you won't necessarily have to worry about, when is the next mistake coming or what happens. But yeah, I mean, I just think that's another sign of him taking another step and this elite mindset that we heard about all preseason in fall camp, I think is really starting to, come to fruition and really look at, you're now starting to see it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge step in the right direction for him. And that the fact that you almost not write off what he did, but you were almost like, whatever. He had 200 and some yards, couple touchdowns. Yeah, good. Like that is kind of what the expectation should always be, because we just have not seen that in like a year. Because like that from those quarterbacks last year, that type of performance, you would think the sky is falling and like, what is going on? Like that is, so it's just now it's like, that's like a normal passing offense's normal day at the office, really.
Well, and he quietly has 1,440 yards now.
Right.
Passing on the year. And, when people are making these predictions about what Bryce was going to do freshman year, his career at Michigan, blah, 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 it's like reminder, like breaking 3,000 is like, not a common thing here, right? Like, so 7 games in, 1,400, like there hasn't been a lot of touchdowns yet, right? 7-2 ratio there. But again, back to, they come into the year with McCulley and then Shannon Goodwin and Samaj Morgan, and that's your top 3. And we said, look, Andrew Marsh is going to push. right? He's a little behind on some playbook stuff, and like he's gonna have to get out there and learn and make some mistakes. Talent's there, ceiling's there. And we saw a couple of those mistakes early, whether it was the fumble on the kick return or that one option route where he went the wrong way, whatever. And then they go into that bye week. The coaching staff makes it clear there are opportunities available here, guys. And Andrew Marsh took advantage of that opportunity. And he's a guy where you just see that confidence building in his body language and play. That one-handed grab wasn't just an amazing play. That's a wide receiver finding his diva zone. Okay. Like, like he didn't just reach for it and like kind of balance it and like tuck it in. Dude, he grabbed it. Like he caught it. You know what I mean? The difference between like catching it and kind of cupping it. Like, it's a one-hand grab. No, he caught it with one hand.
Yeah.
Like a loaf of bread, bro.
Right.
Like, and obviously that's helping Bryce as well. So like in this game, Marsh gets 5 receptions, 49 yards, touchdown. But all of a sudden, well, let me pull it. Somebody asked about his completion. Bryce is now at 62.4 completion percentage.
That's
adjusted to 74% with 16 drops. 12% drop rate, 1 out of 8 passes.
Like some of them, like, okay, fine. But, you know, we don't need to rehash the drops and where it's coming from.
Yeah,
but
how many? I'm trying to think how I want to frame this. Make sure I get this correct here. Andrew Marsh has been targeted 20 times. Do you know how many receptions he has?
Sorry, what was the number?
Marsh has been targeted 20 times.
Okay.
How many receptions do you think?
17.
18.
Ooh.
Only 2 throws his way have not been completions. And I could be wrong, but I don't think any of them. Nope, no drops.
And that's the unfortunate part too, because like everyone was talking about wide receiver development and all that stuff. Outside of the drops, it's like, man, they've been really good.
Well, and that was the thing. Like I've said it on pods, and like I feel stupid saying it with Channing Goodwin, but like when people are like, "Oh, what is he doing out there?" He is a not good but great route runner. He's a great blocker. He finds gaps in the defense. Like he just wasn't catching. He's great at everything a wide receiver does, right? And that's why I'm not writing him off. There's still a future for Channing Goodwin. He's a redshirt freshman, right? I'm not surprised. I mean, Marsh is a top wide receiver recruit, like for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like,
I mean, I'm speaking more so from like a coaching standpoint too, from like, you know, a lot of people were down on Ron Bellamy and I get it. I mean, last year, I mean, could the wide receivers been better? Yeah. But you know, it helps to actually have a quarterback that can complete a forward pass, you know, and I think this year, there's really no
team and stuff too. Yeah.
Right. The drops, like outside of that, you take away the drops, and I don't think anyone really would complain that much about the wide receivers. I mean, tight ends too. I mean, Coach Casula earned his paycheck last week with getting Deacon Tonielli and Zach Marshall.
That's a really good point.
Zach Marshall ready to go at a really late stage of the week, and then coming in and then being not just being ready to play, but being integral factors in that win. I think it speaks to a lot of good coaching is going on offense, and at times you're not necessarily seeing it, but it's absolutely happening. And I think, you know, it proves, at least to me, that they've got the right pieces in place for the, you know, for offense and defense, that, you know, they've got some guys that they can kind of are willing to go to look inwardly, go to the drawing board, see what needs to be fixed and address it. And you know, the drops, I think, I don't know at what point you just have to straight out bench a dude until he can kind of figure it out between the ears. But outside of the drops, like I would have zero issues with what the receivers are doing. You know, you brought in McCue and you brought in Marsh to do exactly what they're doing. And it helps that they're really good. It makes your job, your job much easier, but you still got to coach them. I mean, it's not like McCue is a converted quarterback. So it's not like he's been in this professional wide receiver all throughout high school. So like there is coaching that has to happen, you know, in between the promise and the talent. So
Well, the reaction to trust, right? Like they call the
right.
tunnel screen, Josh.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw a tunnel screen?
When they were gouged by USC, so they took a page out of their book.
I mean, it was beautiful. And
Yeah,
then Marsh
yeah.
got to the field, and for us old dogs, like I keep saying, like, I don't know if it's his gait because he's got that really long stride. I get such Anthony Carter vibes from him.
Yeah.
Like the way Marsh runs. Mario Manningham's another one because like we've seen he's only 6'1", but he plays so much bigger.
It doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way.
No, and Manningham was the same way. Manningham felt like this big X receiver target, and he was 6'1". Yep. And it's because he wins contested catches. He's so good with the over-the-shoulder stuff on the sideline.
Yep.
He's great, once he gets the ball in his hands. And, with Samaj and the drops, like I said there was a role for him, and there is. And you see when they use him correctly how good he can be with yards after catch, blah, blah. And clearly the staff still trusts him, but man, that fourth down was like, dude, you're so close. And they asked a lot of him early on because of the tight end injuries and because they were having the issues with Goodwin. And McCulley even wasn't quite there yet, right? Because of the way the defense was, so they asked a lot of Samaj. And I still think there's a place where with McCulley, with Marsh, with some tight end threat, with some running backs involved, where if Samaj can get 4 targets a game, he can do what you need him to do. It just, you can't have the drops, man. But
it was a really good play call on fourth down too, which is a bummer because a lot of people are going to be like,
he might have scored on that play, dude.
Yeah, he had acreage. I hate to sit here and point out a kid and like harp on him and saying it's your fault. But like it was kind of his fault. It was, that was all him.
Yeah,
that was a brilliantly designed play that he had acreage to run, and just dropped it. I mean, say what you will about the touch and all that stuff. I don't buy it. If it hits you in the hands and he threw it from like 5 feet away from him. So it's like, you just gotta make plays or someone else is going to make them for you. Cause it was well executed. It was there. Probably could have scored, and the execution just wasn't there. At some point, you have to stop looking at the coaches and then start looking at the execution standpoint, which still goes back into coaching. But the players that you put out there, it's the same thing with the Hail Mary against Nebraska. It was just a really bad execution from all of those guys on defense. So at some point, well, because it comes to execution, and that's what you're going to get with a young team is that sometimes the execution isn't going to be where it should be.
As good as Marsh has been, he's better than we realize. I think that's the crazy thing about it. Like people are so excited and hyping him up. It's better than you realize. The first 4 games of the year, he had 30 receiving yards. Okay. On 1 reception. It was that sideline play, right? So 18 receptions for 297 yards, only 1 reception and 30 of that came before the bye. That's 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the 2 touchdowns and the 18 for 297 is trailing only McCulley, who has 24 for 369 on double the targets. McCulley has 39 targets. There's a lot of forced in throws because he doesn't have any drops either, I don't think. But no, he doesn't. But Bryce was feeding him early, and he's 5 of 8 on contested catches, which is what we knew he was brought in here to do. Okay. Replacing Channing Goodwin, he had 19 targets, so just 1 shy of Marsh, 8 receptions for 122, 10 receptions for nearly 280 more yards, dude.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Excuse me, 180 more yards. Excuse me. Bad math. Wow. It's unreal. My favorite, and is Blake still in here, he'll cite this as well. Yards per route run is one of my favorite metrics because it shows what kind, sometimes it's beyond receptions yards, like how much of an impact a player is actually having. And when I've defended Samaj in his freshman year in the past, that was a metric he was really, really high in.
Yep.
Basically anything over 2 is really, really good. Anything high 2s is elite, right? So Marsh is at 2.83 yards per route run, right? If you're not familiar with that stat, where does that put him? Jeremiah Smith is 3.14.
Wow. Yeah.
Elijah Surratt, 3.02. Right
Wow.
behind them, 2.83, Andrew Marsh.
That's a hell of a stat for stat nerds out there such as us. That's
He's
pretty impressive.
He's literally among, and this is with 4 games of not actually playing, really. Right?
Him basically walking off a high school team and walking into a college program.
You know what? I bet I can do this.
NFL pros. I mean, those Surratt and Smith are NFL pros. Like that's impressive.
Yeah, like it's gonna be so, like, I know Jeremiah Smith's not having, like, I mean, yes, here you go for comparisons. Jeremiah Smith has 24 receptions in the last 4 weeks that Marsh has been playing for 245 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like
that dude could coast. Smith, not Marsh. Smith, that dude could coast from the end of his freshman year to the end of his junior year, and he'll still go number 1.
He would have been the number 1 receiver taken last year.
Oh, by far.
A top 5 pick. I mean,
he'll still. I mean, he could say, like, tomorrow, "Oh, I'm done. I'm gonna wait a year and a half to
opt out the full."
Yeah, and he'd still get picked high. He's that good.
I'm surprised that hasn't been fought again since the Maurice Clark. Like, with how much the NCAA has been losing in court, I'm kind of surprised nobody else has fought that again.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, I don't want to see it because I would rather keep Bryce Underwood for 3 years compared to
it
would be.
At that point, you're not even, like, what one and done is done to college basketball is
right.
awful.
Right.
You don't even get to know a guy anymore. But back on this youth movement. I said going into the year, like, look, you got RB1A and 1B. Everybody was super hype on Marshall because they had seen Marshall. And I'm looking at this Justice Haynes tape, and I'm like, guys, he's really good. Like, I think Justice Haynes is going to be that dude. He's still. I'm with Tony Alford. I watched every snap, I think, of Justice Haynes.
Dude, I'm just going to stop you right there.
He got faster, dude. I don't know how he got faster, but he did.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to stop you right there. Tony Alford is not getting enough love from this fan base, not only because he's recruiting his ass off, he's coaching his ass off, and it also helps that you have 2 elite running backs. Yes, I'm saying Jordan Marshall is elite. Justice Haynes is elite. Jordan Marshall is going to be elite, and I don't think he is getting enough appreciation and love, and not to mention you're bringing in the best running back in the 2026 class, and Savion Hyder too. Yeah, he deserves his flowers, and I don't care if I'm the only one that gives them to him, but he deserves it. He deserves it. I mean, he's getting these guys ready. Jasper Parker is going to be a stud too.
Jordan Marshall having the game he had against Washington when he knew he had the week to prepare, that he was probably going to be the dude. That's a great reflection too, because Marshall could have been, if you're talking about these points of frustration, Marshall could have been frustrated when Haynes even was brought in.
Oh, for sure.
And he was always on board.
Yep.
And I mean, any running back that knows, like, hey, don't put a lot of, if I can get through college without running it too much and get to the NFL, I need my second contract in the NFL, right? Like, it's okay. Totally on board with this duo. Haynes busts out. He's the hot hand. He's totally fine with the role he's in. He keeps taking advantage of the carries when he gets it. And then here you go. All right, no Haynes. We're going to throw you out there. And he does the same thing that he did against Alabama.
Yeah.
25 carries, 133 yards, and a touchdown. 6 broken tackles, 3.8 yards after contact. 8 of his carries went for first downs. Also caught 3 balls. Like, and guys, I know sometimes we can do the hyperbole thing with the comps. And sometimes it's like, I'm not necessarily saying I think this player is going to have this career but this is the style he reminds me of. We've been telling you Blake Corum for Jordan Marshall.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned
since he got recruited. And if you didn't see it with the extra push for a couple yards, driving with his legs, some of those lateral cuts, the north-south, I don't know what to tell you.
I wasn't even going to make the comparison with his play. I was going to make it with his mentality. I remember vividly going down to Cincinnati and seeing him as a senior and spending time with him and his trainer during his workout. And I walked away. I'm like, this kid, they're going to love this kid, and it just so happened that Michigan just brought in Justice Haynes too. So you kind of haven't seen enough of Jordan Marshall to make that point yet. But once he is the guy, and he's going to be the guy here sooner rather than later, you're going to be like, wow, that kid has got like Blake Corum's mentality written all over him. And it's not even just his game. It's just the between the ears stuff, the leadership, the care, the genuine care for other people too is what he has. Like you could just talking to him, you can tell that it's like, it's not this fake athlete stuff. Like it's legitimate,
you can tell when it's sincere.
Yeah. Cause he was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I gotta go. I got this, football camp I'm doing right after this. So he went in for a workout and then did this football camp that he's hosting, for kids in the area right after we were done talking. So it's like, yeah, this kid's just got it, man. He's just got it. And I was like, this is exactly the type of kid that brings, the tradition of excellence at the position from one era to the next. And he's got it. And Justice Haynes does too. Don't get me wrong. That's
he's
not putting it in nice hands.
It feels like he's always been here, dude.
Right. Haynes fits right in. And sometimes, the mentality is almost as important as the play on the field. Obviously the play is going to determine a lot of things, but if you're, this team guy and this team first mentality, you're going to do really, really well in Ann Arbor. And it doesn't matter who the head coach is, you're going to do really well in Ann Arbor. And that's what you're seeing right now.
And let's give props to Blake Corum, who has been very present since leaving. He was at the spring game. He's communicating with these guys all the time. He came, I don't remember, did they have a Thursday night game? And that's why he was there recently as well. Like that torch passing, we know JJ and Bryce and their relationship as well. I struggle to see a world where Haynes comes back next year unless something, really goes off the rails long-term with the injury but which by the way, my jaw dropped. He's still second in the Big Ten in rushing yards by only 8.
Yeah.
Emmett Johnson from Nebraska, who has 20 more carries than him and 8 more yards.
Yep.
He's basically missed 2 games and he's still second in the Big Ten in rushing. Unbelievable. 4.03 yards after contact.
The only thing that gives me pause is the NFL is really weird when it comes to running backs.
Yeah. But the sooner you get in there, I don't know.
It's like, do they want to see him get another year of seasoning or whatever? Or are they willing to go, or is he even considered a high grade pick? He'll test off the charts.
Yeah.
But they're really weird when it comes to running backs.
But I think what he's flashed with that top end speed, which again, as much as I loved his Alabama tape, because everybody's like, oh, he didn't do anything there. And I'm looking, I'm like, well, they didn't give him a lot of carries because Milroe ran so much. Yep. And I'm watching and it's like, okay, he's running over linebackers. He's physical. He can do short yardage. He can get long runs. He does a little bit of everything. He's a good all around back. But kind of like Corum 22 didn't have that last gear and sometimes would get caught. This year's not the case. He's got that extra gear. He's got that home run, big play, touchdowns. And from an NFL perspective, that's an every down back.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but if he doesn't come back and you have Jordan Marshall and Jasper Parker and Savion Hyder, who, again, I until I can come up with a better word, because I know generational prospect, I know. But
did you see his stats he had over the weekend?
Oh my God.
Dude. My God.
There isn't consensus 5-star running backs. That's not normal.
No.
Right. So instead of generational, whatever era, every 5 to 10 years, whatever, this guy's in that LT, Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson. Like he's that kind of, I mean, he's going to play next year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like he's going
to. And those who didn't know or aren't aware of what he did, I think he had like 21 carries for 256 and 6 touchdowns.
It wasn't 21.
Wasn't 21?
It was hardly any, if I remember correctly.
Was it? I thought it was less than that.
I think what impressed me was it wasn't that many carries. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was like
12 carries.
12. I'm sorry.
You had the numbers flipped.
Sorry,
Yeah.
12
carries, 261 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Oh my God. They even, he's so good. They didn't play him one game this year because they're playing an opponent so bad that they didn't want to play him. So they sat him. Yes. And this guy's unreal. It's unreal. So yeah, this kid is, and obviously I think a lot of the running back or in future is if you're able to hold on to Tony Alford too. And I'm not saying there's no one out there that can do what Tony Alford's doing. I just think he's built this. I personally would do whatever it takes for him to see it through until there's something that makes sense for him to take.
It's not money. So for those who don't know, there was some reporting, and it's kind of an obvious connection. Tony Alford played running back at Colorado State. They fired Mike Norvell. Is it Mike?
Yep.
He's Jay Norvell.
Jay, yeah. Mike is Florida State.
Yeah. I knew I was doing something wrong there.
Yeah, one of those Norvell fellas.
Yeah. Are they related? They gotta be.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so they fired Jay Norvell, and he's interviewed for that job in the past, and I don't think he's hidden the fact that he would like to coach his alma mater. I think the world's really changed in college football, though, where Colorado State, people forget, was like the spot for a minute where like elite coordinators would go to get like that 2 or 3 years of head coaching experience. You'd have your Mike Bobo, and then it was McElwain went there right before
pre-Shark or post-Shark.
I don't know when Shark photo was taken.
Post-Shark.
I still don't think that was him. I think it was Jimmy.
Pre-Shark, because they was with Florida when the Shark thing came.
I still think that was Jimmy John's guy, but anyway.
Some weirdo.
Yeah. So they've always kind of gone that route of head coach experience, and then even Norvell they stole from Nevada in conference. I don't see them taking a position coach. Maybe there's something unique with the ties there. But I look at them and I think about a guy like Jason Eck, right? From New Mexico, like one of these already G5 head coaches that needs to like take another step up, because you're not seeing OCs go take G5 jobs. You're seeing G5 head coaches go become OCs. Right?
I don't know how these programs survive. Like I don't know how they do it. I mean, you're so
no, Derek. No,
you're
Trevor
so
should do a shark photo op.
No offense, buddy, but that would be a horrific sight.
Yeah, I agree.
I love you, but holy
no, I agree.
I would say the same about myself cuddling up.
I'm not in shark photo op shape, so
I don't know how these programs do it. I don't know how they survive or why they even bother half the time. I mean, they're maybe good for an upset or two during the year, but like you're not gonna spend money. You don't have money.
And look, let's be honest, like the playoff expansion thing, we're like, oh, this is going to get more G5 teams. No, it's not.
No, especially with what Memphis did over the weekend. That was probably
and you brought up
football's only hope.
You brought up too, like the idea of a 9-3. I've been saying all year. I mean, it obviously depends on the other teams, but in this current format, whether it's this year or soon, assuming they don't change it, a 9-3 Big Ten or SEC team is going to get in over a 10-2 ACC or Big 12. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I think Tony Petitti is so dumb for fighting for the auto bids, because if you have 4 auto bids in place,
you could have just stopped that first half of that sentence. You could have just stopped.
Fair enough.
You didn't even have to.
Yeah, but that's going to feel like a cap to a committee making choices. You're going to get 4 teams in without trying. You might get 5. Don't put a cap on it. Right? So
don't get me started on this
Yep, no
private equity crap too.
I
I'm so
appreciate
about that.
shout out Jordan Acker. I know people aren't pro region all the time, but I appreciate Michigan putting public comments out there about a very shady behind the scenes conversation that's occurring that is
Absolutely hate it.
incredibly rushed, and like nobody cares that like this has a tie to USC. Like it's so gross. But anyway, youth movement, offensive line.
Yep.
I want to make a point real quick because I think people are quick to say, hey, Jake Guarnera looks like the better guard. Why didn't he win that job out the gate? Blake Frazier comes in for an injured Evan Link, plays really, really well. I think a lot of people have been pro Frazier for a while. Trevor raises his hand and think, oh, he should have started from the beginning, blah, blah. Just like Andrew Marsh, right, needing a little bit more time. Keep in mind, Frazier specifically was injured all offseason. He didn't even start competing till fall camp.
Yeah.
Right.
That was like 2 weeks into fall camp too. It wasn't like right as fall camp started.
And he made noise. We were reporting on it like, hey, he's being talked about, like, because Andrew Sprague went from written pen to pencil.
Yep.
At right tackle, right? So, hey, Frazier's doing good in the 3 weeks he's had. And Guarnera was playing center because he's backup center to Crippen, but like get some guard reps. And hey, he's in the right guard conversation. So they were both there right at the end of the year. But the funny thing is, it's like a reverse of last year. And I do wonder if maybe that was in the back of their mind, because last year, Greg Crippen gets hurt for a little bit and essentially loses his job to a younger Dominic Jadis.
Yep.
Donnie
Mutz.
And Andrew Gentry and Jeff Percy, battling at right tackle veterans, lose the job to a younger Evan Link. And the season ends, and there's kind of this back and forth admitting a fault between coaches and players that, you know what, we put way too much weight into fall camp. And it's unfair that, resolve things with Crippen and El Hadi. Obviously, Gentry leaves. There's no resolve because he does get to play and he gets hurt. It's ugly, whatever. And then you come into this year and you're like, oh God, do I take Link's job away and give it to Frazier? Do I play Guarnera at right guard after Afobe had the job all off season? So it's like this flip. If they would have come out of camp and started Frazier and Guarnera, we would have been like, but
yeah.
I hate that injuries led us here, but where I've kind of been is like, look, let's be realistic about what the future is. And it's Jake Guarnera probably at center. I'd be interested to see, maybe they go to the portal for a center and keep Guarnera at guard. I don't know, but probably at center. Blake Frazier somewhere. Andrew Babalola obviously gets hurt. That's brutal, but him somewhere. Ty Haywood somewhere.
Yep.
If I'm at 60-40, and I can favor the young guy, or another complaint I've been making in other places, if people have seen it, I'm to the point where I don't even care about the technique anymore, as much as I just want to see somebody be mean and physical on the offensive line and finish whistle to whistle. That's something Guarnera was doing. I know Frazier ended up on his back early one time, but like, there's a different vibe with some of these young guys, and I'm glad Evan Link, his injury is not as bad as initially feared, and he'll come back. I'll be frank though. I hope Frazier plays well enough that he stays there, because I think that's better long term, and I hope that means Evan Link starts looking at guard reps, because I think he'd be better at guard. I do. And again, the injury happened. We just have to be realistic. I'm not pro injury, whatever, but this is
I don't think
where we're
at. Anyone would assume you're like celebrating an injury. I think, and this is why it's so beneficial to have these versatile offensive linemen and give these guys reps all over the place. I mean, these guys repped everywhere during the fall too, so that it kind of takes away a little bit from the competition during fall camp, because you've got one set, maybe you've got Frazier at tackle and Link at guard. Then the next you've got Link at tackle and Frazier at guard. So a lot of these times these guys are playing or having these reps while they're playing together on the line, as they're mixing and matching. So you don't really necessarily see where one guy might be excelling over the next, because they're working in so many guys and getting these guys experience. Because if you were just pigeonholing Jake Warner as a center, he would not be your starting guard right now because
That's a really good point.
Specifically, your backup center. So I think that's where, you know, I've given Grant Newsome, mostly quietly, I've given Grant Newsome a lot of crap because of the way the offensive line is played, and some of it is deserved. I think I was probably a little too harsh on him coming out of the USC game, but I give this group credit is that they're willing to mix and match guys and not just say, oh, you're a tackle, you're a guard, you're a center, you can't be anything else. I mean, this is where A, having the depth, and B, having that versatility on the line helps you because now you can mix and match. You know, like no one would have been saying, if I were to sit here and tell you, you know, this in the off season, in May that Jake Guarnera is your starting guard, you wouldn't have believed me. You would have been like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And that's because he had a strong camp because they played him at guard multiple times, and he was doing better at guard than he was really at center and tackle. I mean, he was playing tackle too. So it's just having that experience in camp does kind of hinder you in a way that you don't get a full view of what you're getting when it comes to competition within the position group, but it gives you looks as to where guys might make sense if guys get hurt. So again, you never want to see a guy get hurt, but I think all of these contingency plans for guys that do get hurt, I think have been hit on by this group, and they've done a really good job is that because they're prepared. And I think that's, you know, what makes this offensive line group really, really good is that they've got guys that are prepared and not thrown into the wild, not having any idea how to play a position.
Well, and I'm just gonna be real honest real quick. The offensive line isn't as bad as people think it is.
No, it's not.
They got announced on the midseason Joe Moore award list, and people are like, what? That's great, bro. They have the best rushing offense in the country, people.
Yeah.
Now, Justice Haynes, I told you how many yards he's creating after contact. Okay. But like they're not that bad. Again, is this 2021? No. You know how veteran that group was, 22 and 23 too. The benefit of 3-year starters in Zinter and Keegan, transfer portal infusions with Olu and Nugent. Yep. Hayes had been starting for years. In 21, you've got Vastardis and Stuver, 5th and 6th year guys. Like, it's a young group. And when you think about it, your top tackle recruit who you thought might be able to, like we were talking about, can he start as a freshman? Andrew Babalola out for the year. Your best offensive lineman, or at least that's who he was viewed as going into the year, Giovanni El Hadi, gets hurt. Your do-it-all offensive lineman who earned the starting job at right guard, Brady Norton, hurt, street clothes. Evan Lake, your starting left tackle, your only returning starter from last season, like full, like played all the time starter. Now he gets hurt. And you're going into a week against Michigan State now with Blake Frazier, El Hadi healthy and Crippen healthy, but Frazier, Guarnera, and Sprague, that's 3 redshirt freshmen.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
So like, it's not that bad. they're doing a good job. And again, measuring from last year, they're a lot farther along this year than they were last year. I know last year was terrible, but like we've been saying all along, like that's the measuring stick with better QB play, better offensive line. The team last year probably goes 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see. I'm excited. Maybe I'm a sucker for this, but number 77 at left tackle
just makes sense.
It just makes sense. It looks so good. All right, we're already at an hour because you and I haven't been doing this in a long time, and we could probably talk forever.
Yep. I got groceries coming in like 15 minutes too.
You got what coming?
Groceries.
Oh, groceries.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You don't even have to leave the house anymore. We never do.
I know. It's nice.
I brought up Derek Moore. It's weird, like kind of a quiet year. He's had these big games, but like he's been moments. It's like, hey, where's Derek Moore? Blah, blah, blah. Highest graded defender on Pro Football Focus. Highest graded pass rush. He leads the team with 20 pressures. I don't know the half number because PFF counts half as whole. It says 6 sacks. So I don't know what the full is. I'd have to look that up. But he's like having a really good year. On track for double-digit sacks, doing good. TJ Guy in a role that kind of got limited, obviously, with Barham moving over. Role kind of increasing again now because we're seeing the Barham issues with sealing the edge in the run game, which I know people are freaking out about, but he was missing gaps in the run game at linebacker too. I think he's Josh Uche. You just got to deploy him in the right situation, right?
Yeah.
But then the young guys, I mean, again, Troy Bowles has only played 69 snaps, but whenever the dude's on the field, you see him.
Nice.
Right. He makes plays. We know Cole Sullivan's arguably a top 5 defender on this team already.
Could be a top 5 defender in the Big Ten.
He's unbelievable, dude. He's so unbelievable.
Real.
Dom Nichols is another guy whose role kind of got impacted by this Barham thing, but he's been playing well. And then, we brought up the secondary, but Jaden Sanders, Jacob Oden gets a pick. He kind of came out of nowhere as well. But Elijah Dotson, Earls has been playing, Jordan Young. I'm going to forget guys, but like you're seeing, I mean, defensive tackle is so veteran because of the transfers they brought in and Benny. That's probably the one spot where it'll be interesting to a transition next year. But everywhere else, it's like, dude, like this defense is coming along. Obviously a big change from last week to Washington. You flip the count where you went from only 3 pressures and 16 missed tackles to, I should have had this ready, but I don't. I think it was 20 pressures and 3 missed tackles. So you flipped it, right? But they're young.
Mm-hmm.
They're young, and it's like, okay, it's just not hard to project for the rest of the year them getting better. And I don't want to talk about next year too much because there's a lot to be played. But if they can come into it, and Moore talked about this today, like having guys understand what this rivalry is, how important it is, but also maybe reshaping it in a way where it's not costing you, right? You can beat them without it being what it's been in recent years. You got a good chance to like not only continue momentum against a team that might be hiring a new head coach, but a whole new young group of kids that haven't seen Michigan State beat Michigan, right? The D'Antonio years are getting farther and farther away, man.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the future's bright, and they're gonna keep infusing what they have now with portal guys, and obviously, you got a Carter Meadows that's gonna come through the pipeline here, 5-star stud. So it's just
he's hider on defense, by the way. The dude, you're not gonna be able to keep the dude off the field.
Yeah, no, I
freak.
Him and like Nate Marshall are gonna be really freaking good on defense. And it's just going to keep happening if this is the kind of trajectory that things are on, is that, you're going to be infused with some younger guys as the older guys age themselves out. Mm-hmm. And you're going to throw in portal guys in there too. I mean, Michigan's going to hit the portal hard as always. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of add more, whatever they don't end up with in the 26 class with these last minute flips. They'll probably subsidize it with portal ads and probably veteran presence on the defensive line too. Just keep recycling guys that you can rotate in and have that depth. So yeah, I mean, the future of this program that, we're talking about the youngest team in the Big Ten, and Michigan is doing this right now and performing well and making tangible strides. Man, it's the future's bright. I mean, you can't help but think that it's very, very bright until they prove it otherwise.
Juju, I haven't seen that picture. That's awesome, dude. You said don't see anyone other than Marshall or Brandt starting over Meadow. It might be, that might be true. I do want to. Derek brought up, and we've shouted him out, but it's another opportunity. I'm talking about young guys. He's not a young guy, but he hasn't played a ton because of injuries. What Jimmy Rolder is doing this year.
Oh man.
Do you guys know he's second on the team in tackles?
Unreal.
He's only 5 behind Ernest Hausman.
It's unreal.
So 47 to 42. He has 3.5 tackles for loss compared to Houseman's 2.5. He has a sack. He's got an interception. He flipped. He was a liability in pass coverage when he was thrown to the Wolves against Ohio State. Yep. He's been great in coverage. He's shown with a team that's like shown a lot of missed tackles and poor gap assignments. He's been really good. There's been some conversation. I still don't have full clarity on it. I think he might have a medical redshirt and be able to come back next year.
Yeah, I think so.
He played 6 games, but I believe he gets a medical for it. So he could come back next year, and that would be massive.
Oh, man, huge.
But him, Houseman, TJ Metcalf, who, we said at the start of the year that he was getting a lot of hype in the nickel spot, that he might be the best guy in the secondary, and he's one of those dudes where you don't talk about him a ton, which I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
right? But
you look at his numbers.
He's played 378 snaps. The dude hasn't come off the field, man.
And he hasn't given up a ton of yardage either. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's why you're not hearing much about him, because he's doing his job, and guys aren't. I mean, you'd like to see more interceptions or whatever, but I mean, he's doing his job and not getting many balls past him. It's like it's just getting he's just being steady, and that's kind of what they need. I mean, let the other guys be opportunistic, but have a safety hybrid type of dude that is dependable and gets the job done.
And look, him, Hillman, Mason Curtis, like these guys. Well, I know Metcalf's a transfer from Arkansas, but these guys that were around last year, like they were missing tackles. Like, they have high missed tackle rates. That's just a fact. And you're seeing a guy like Jordan Young go out there and make plays in limited snaps. Dotson's only played, where is he? 60 snaps? Yeah. Every time he's out there, dude, you see him. He is getting to the ball quickly. I'm so happy for him, because he's one of those guys with the whole Bryce recruitment. Like, he got tied so much into that. Like, Michigan was just doing, Bryce a favor going after Dotson. Oh, Dotson's a player, and Michigan's lucky to have him. So I'm glad that he's slowly getting a chance to dispel. Jaden Sanders continues to be unreal. Former 3-star as a freshman, and Shamari Earls, now that he's flipped out of the doghouse.
But
he's getting more run too. So, I mean, just exciting things. Let's talk about it. Somebody brought it up. You obviously had an intel report, which, no offense, guys, we're not going to give you all of it. But in terms of the defense and moving forward, and we reported earlier down the week, and we're kind of, touching on it a little bit, but Lamar Morgan as the pass game coordinator, which is like the first fluff title before co-DC, where you can get more money, right?
Yeah.
Very similar game planning to a Tony Alford with the run game, or, a Bellamy and Kasula with the passing game, right? It's always kind of been collaborative on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe not as much on defense. I don't think you had to squint hard during this game to see some differences in coverage, especially linebackers in zone coverage. 2 of those lead to interceptions, right? And yes, Juju with a great point, and I believe you spoke on this on our board over at Maize and Blue Review. It's a guy with DC experience at Louisiana, and coached for a year with Minter at Vanderbilt, and came with recommendation from Jesse Minter. We know the dude can recruit, and he's working on, I mean, you want to talk about swinging for the fences, these flip targets that are out there. And I know he never stopped talking to Finney at LSU. That was one I brought up, but I don't think he's going to make any progress with Adams at Notre Dame. But like, he's talking to these dudes, and he's swinging. And we just got done talking about all these freshman DBs he recruited last year, already making an impact this year, right?
Yep.
Some guys are great recruiters and maybe not great coaches. Some guys are great coaches, but not maybe great recruiters. There's a few guys on the staff that appear to be good at both, and Lamar Morgan and Lou are kind of at the top of the list.
Absolutely. Yeah, those 2 guys, absolutely. Yeah. and to be clear with what we kind of talked about on the boards today, it's not that Morgan took over play calling duties. He had a bigger voice in install, which is very important too, because Michigan talks about it being a collaborative defense, and everyone kind of wants to, everyone is opinion is valued. It kind of felt like this week that there was more organization with the install, and that Morgan had kind of this, excuse me, had kind of this bigger input that people were listening to in terms of what he was providing this week. And, it's hard to argue against the results. I mean, yeah, Wink's still got to call the defense. But, is this the approach that they take moving forward? We'll see. I mean, we'll see how they look against Michigan State this weekend, but so far so good. They obviously did this for a reason, and it pays off. And does this mean that, whenever Wink decides he wants to move on, does this mean that Morgan is automatically going to be, your defensive coordinator next year or the year, whenever it is? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I personally, if I had any type of opinion, I would like to see him kind of be a co-DC first, before pure DC, and then go after and do like a national search for a guy that makes sense. But I'm all for Lamar getting, rising the ranks at Michigan. I would rather him do it at Michigan than anywhere else. But yeah, if co-DC is the next step for him, I think it makes a ton of sense. Familiar with the scheme. I mentioned on the boards, I spoke to Jesse Minter while he was, Morgan was being hired, and he's like, I love this dude. He's just got it. And I mean, I don't know who else's opinion you can take more higher than right now, being removed from the 23 team, other than Jim Harbaugh, than Jesse Minter. I mean, I as long as you can stay anywhere close to that Jesse Minter tree branch, you want to stay there. That's a good one to be right now, because Jesse Minter is going to be an NFL head coach here sooner rather than later. And I would like to see kind of like a co-DC role, and then kind of get a younger guy as a DC, whenever that is. I mean, this is obviously speculation, but
no, and I mean, I love this stuff, so I can't help but, like, in my head think like, I obviously Brian Jean-Marie is doing a good job with linebackers. There's always been kind of a rumor he might go back south again or whatever. Even if it's affecting, I don't even care what the titles would be at this point, but like a guy like Sterling Lucas at South Carolina, who coaches the outside edge players there, is a monster recruiter and would need a step up. Or, I think about, Todd Bates is one that comes up too, who's at Clemson. He's at Oklahoma right now with Venables. And I mean, he's never going to be the defensive coordinator there, because Brent Venables is the defensive coordinator. Right. So, if you pair somebody like that with a Morgan, I think you're cooking. Big advantage for Morgan this year. We talked about with what went wrong last year, obviously on a short notice, but you weren't just replacing Steve Klinkskill. You were also replacing Jay Harbaugh in the secondary. And you were also replacing your defensive coordinator in Jesse Minter, who had a defensive back secondary background, with Wink Martindale, who is a front seven defensive line background, right? So Morgan comes in and has three guys he's replacing, realistically. You went from Minter, Klink, and Jay to just Morgan. Mm-hmm. So him having the ability to bring in his right-hand man in Lionel Stokes, who is the safeties coach and who I thought would be part of the staff of 10, and JB Brown, without getting into that whole conversation on special teams, would go to kind of a different role. But you have Stokes as your safeties coach. Lou Esposito had the same thing, where he was allowed to bring in his guy, David Denham, right-hand man from Western, right? And I mean, we've talked about it at length too on the offensive side. Grant Newsome gets Juan Castillo. We see Sue Campbell come back. Fred Jackson is already here. Michigan's doing a good job of taking advantage of this new rule with the analysts, and I think that was a huge help for Morgan. And we see it on the defensive front too with Pernell McPhee, right? So I think that's the next step too, is if you're asking more of a Lamar Morgan, continuing to fill in behind him, right? With some of these, whether it's extra analysts or whatever. But look, Michigan.
I have a hot analyst take that I'm not going to say right now that I will maybe share one day in the future.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like Michigan should take advantage of an analyst in a certain area than have an on-field recruiter. But
that's not a hot take.
No, I know, but
yeah,
fix the damn special teams, for crying out loud. Like, what are we doing here? It reminds me of Office Space. What exactly would you say do you do?
I'm a people person. Can't you see that? Damn it.
Oh man. It's nothing against the guy, but it's like,
no, but if you're going to have a dedicated special teams coach in an era where you don't need to have one because analysts can do anything,
it's a waste. Yes.
Then you can't have problems with your special teams.
You can overpay a analyst to be your special teams coordinator. Use that position for someone that you can use as like a prolific recruiter and developer, because there's no developing going on. Like, I give Michigan a pass somewhat for the punter situation, because Luke Bauer quit football at a really bad time because they couldn't get anyone else from the portal. But
and we've
seen don't have anyone better than what you have now.
Anybody who's back, this isn't just like, he's doing great in practice. If you've been in Michigan Stadium before a game, Hollenbach's booting kids. It's crazy. And he was a lot better in this game. I don't have it right in front of me. But I can. It felt like he was, he only had the 2 punts. One was 55 and then one was less. But the inconsistency there. And for those who don't know, Brown and his dad, his dad's a special teams analyst, have been massive for Texas recruiting. I see it. So there is a huge impact. I mean, Michigan's recruiting is better than Michigan at this point.
I thought it said Killian, not Klein.
Oh no, I mean, because Klein's an actual. Killian might be able to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he said that Killian can't punt 35 yards.
I bet he could.
Killian's got a leg on him.
He's a lefty too, though.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. I think that's probably enough. Way too early for like prediction stuff. Blah, blah. I do want to talk real quick. Actually, I lied. Just the Michigan State situation. There was some thought Jonathan Smith might be let go this week ahead of the Michigan game. There's some conversation that I think people think, you're going to get a situation where players are playing for him this week, right? And if he did beat Michigan, that would probably buy him another year. And then if he lost, that would probably be the end of it. I don't understand what Michigan State expected. And I don't get blaming him for this. I really don't. They have a new AD. And anytime you have a new AD, like that guy wants to get his own guy, or however you want to. So like, I understand that kind of thing. He didn't hire Smith, right? But like, when he was hired, the Mel Tucker thing was brutal. It still is. You still have pending lawsuits around Mel Tucker and this potential money you're going to have to pay him, or the money you might have to pay Tracy for mishandling the situation. Like, I don't want to get into that because it's gross, but like that exists. Okay. Your NIL disappears. It's gone. You have no NIL. And like literally they stopped paying their players that were already on the team during the last part of the Tucker thing, right?
Yeah.
You have boosters or people around the program who still support Tucker and don't think he should have been fired. And you go hire a guy who has no Midwest ties whatsoever, And I mean, I think he was in a tough spot. His alma mater, Oregon State's sinking, doesn't have a conference anymore. Who knows what the future is? And Michigan State's available. He probably would have ended up at UCLA or Washington if he would have waited a little bit, if we're being frank, or whatever. But he does a good job of, there's a couple guys on the staff that are Michigan State guys, but so happens to take over at a time when Michigan in the state high school recruiting is not at a great spot. Michigan hasn't even taken a single player in the 26 class from the state of Michigan, right? But like, I don't know what they expected. He couldn't do much in the transfer portal other than the few Oregon State people he brought. They're lucky Nick Marsh and his family are just like avid MSU fans, because otherwise, why would he stick through it? Mm-hmm. We came into this year, like your over-under was 4.5 wins. Like you're having the year everybody expected. UCLA was bad. You got caught in the, is it Jay? What's his kid's name? Rick's.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's good.
I can't think of his name now, but like Minnie Neuheisel, it's hilarious to me. You get caught in that little wave, whatever. But like, this is what you were gonna be,
right?
And you want to fire him? Okay. There's a lot of really good jobs open already, and there's a lot of good jobs continuing. Like, it's gonna be a bad cycle to try and hire a coach,
right? And then you start getting a reputation because you fired 2 coaches in however many years it's been. I mean, you start. But granted, there's a different AD and different stuff like that. But I mean,
I don't think Brent Key's coming from Georgia Tech. I know that's the AD, but like, I don't know why Jerry, not Jay. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Yep.
I don't know why he would leave his alma mater at Georgia Tech to go to Michigan State.
Oh, is that even an upgrade? I don't think that's even.
I know there's people that are convinced Urban Meyer's coming. Urban Meyer's not coming. God. I think James Franklin is probably the best big name that is plausible. I think he probably thinks he can get a better job, but like right now it seems like MSU or Virginia Tech would be a better landing spot. So like, I don't know who the hire is, because like I said this and some people acted like it was ridiculous. Like MSU fans, I said this, but like Chris Creighton might be a really great hire for them from Eastern Michigan. Right. I don't know who that D'Antonio is. Right. He was such a perfect hire for them, dude, because he'd been at Ohio State. He got the Michigan hate. He had head coaching experience at Cincinnati. He could recruit Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky. It was such a perfect. And then at a time where Michigan's struggling with Rich Rod and then a Hope transition, but I get why you don't necessarily want to keep him because of the optics of that. But like, are you going to give the next guy the resources he needs? You built that beautiful Tom Izzo football facility.
Right.
But like, you're giving him MAC resources to build a roster. What did you expect? I don't know. I don't get it. Oh, that's it. That's probably right. Golesh from USF.
I feel like Golesh can pick his whatever he wants.
But he's the Ohio State alum. Like,
yeah, true.
That's the D'Antonio name.
Yep,
for sure.
Yep.
And East isn't leaving Ferris. It's not happening.
He's old.
He's got his kids up there with him. He's winning natties every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was coaching at Muskegon High School not terribly long ago, but I disagree. Man, you're right. You're right, average fan. Golesh is it. I don't know if that, again, you could pick better potentially.
Right.
But James Franklin getting Florida and Auburn calls, I disagree. I think he almost needs to do a year in TV to let the stink kind of wear off.
Yeah, I think,
because if you're Florida, you're going to hire a guy that just got fired from somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. I think Virginia Tech is probably his best spot.
He'd recruit that area really, really well.
Yeah. I don't think Florida wants Lane Kiffin so bad. He's their next Spurrier, right? I don't think they could sell Franklin after how this year went down. Auburn, God, maybe. See, I could see Auburn going like Silverfield from Memphis, somebody like that. But where would you rank MSU as a job, over under Va Tech?
Oh, I would say over Virginia Tech for sure. but not much higher.
I don't know, though, because Virginia Tech has just committed a bunch of money and new resources to the program. You've got Bruce Arians around, leading this search or whatever. That is a really great stadium, fan base. Like, it's not a sleeping giant. I think you're way past the Beamer years. There is some talent in the Virginia area. Shamar Earls, like, we could go on a rant about Blake Corum, like a lot of guys in that area you could recruit well. But Detroit Lions fan nails it for me. It's the ACC.
Yeah.
I can go to Virginia Tech, and if I'm splashy enough and exciting enough, make some moves in the transfer portal. And if I have any grounds in that area where I can kind of recruit well, I think it'd be a lot easier with Florida State in flux, Miami doing Miami things, and Clemson not being like, you could come in and go 10-2, and well, hell, SMU made the playoffs their first year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's probably an easier path at Vatek.
I don't know. You can own that state if you're good.
I don't know where Michigan State, like, the thing with Smith was, okay, well, is he going to be able to recruit West Coast kids to Michigan State then?
Yeah.
Because I don't know where does MSU plant their flag from a recruiting standpoint now? Michigan's down, and it won't always be. But, like, you've lost the cool factor. Kids that are 15 and 16, you're well past that now, right? Like, I don't know who the hire would be. That's like, oh, Ohio is kind of a similar spot. Like, I don't know where you go. But Pat Fitzgerald, the old Northwest. Yeah, I've seen Fitzgerald.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. They could do a lot worse.
No, I think that'd be a good hire.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people say that he wants Iowa, assuming that Ferentz is going to retire. I wonder if how Brett Bielema would, because he's an Iowa guy. I wonder if he would really want to leave Illinois.
It feels like Iowa would be a really weird job to take. Like, once Ferentz moves on, that'd be a weird one to take. Like, it'd just be a weird situation you're walking into.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you replace a guy that's been there for a very long time, that's tough. And he is, I mean, they obviously would like to be more, but he does have an interesting level of consistency that, you look at what happened to Luke Fickell at Wisconsin.
Right.
And I know Christ was in the middle of that, obviously, and Alvarez or whatever, but Wisconsin fans and Iowa fans, they'll accept 9 or 10 wins every year and have those teams once or twice a decade that competes for a Big Ten. And, now in this new world sneaks into playoffs or whatever. Matt Campbell's not going to MSU. That dude's turned down massive interviews. If he waited all these years to go to Michigan State, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Penn State, I could see him go to Penn State. But
yeah, I feel I just 3 jobs that Matt Campbell would just jump at. It'd be Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Michigan. Those are the only 3 jobs that dude would jump.
Yeah,
would jump at. Maybe Penn State too. You could make an argument for Penn State, but those
feels like he's waiting for one of them. So.
Yeah, he might be waiting for a while.
Yeah, it's an interesting fit because when you got a guy he kind of does make sense at a Michigan State, right? A guy that does more with less. I don't think in this new era, it doesn't make sense to me with a Penn State or Penn State recruits itself, I guess. So maybe Penn State I could be talking to, but Michigan go blue 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Will anyone replace Morgan as starter? Oh, Samaj. I mean, I think less a starter and more just in usage, right? So Marsh getting that tunnel screen and some of the shorter routes, right? The tight end usage going up because, again, tight ends are heavy usage in a Chip Lindsey offense. But, I mean, as the true slot receiver guy, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I wonder, let me see, what was his snap count? 31. So he's still he had 31, Goodwin had 20. Browder snuck out there for 3. But, I mean, they only play 4 receivers. McCulley had 65, Marsh had 59. So I mean, his role has already been cut down quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like replacing him on the depth chart. It's just having others kind of bite with snaps a little bit, especially Marsh. So
yeah,
hey, maybe if it
Zach
weren't
Marshall played 41 snaps, 20 of those pass. Only 14 of Morgan's snaps were pass plays.
Yeah. I don't know. I
gotta.
Oh,
you gotta go get your groceries. Lance is an interesting one. He'll go to Wisconsin if that opens up. All right, guys. Sorry we've been so sporadic lately.
I swear it's hit after hit this year. I tell you what.
This entire year has been stupid, dude. It's been stupid. We wanted to sneak in before the Lions game. I'm glad we were able to do that. So, but look, the channel has been just loaded. You can go if you want. I'll do my spiel.
All right.
The channel has just been absolutely loaded with content, guys. I mean, we've got Scar and Do. They're going to do their film analysis. If you're not familiar with John Dewar, he's on Twitter as Do. He does the little clips that everybody loves. Bye, Josh. He does the clips that everybody loves on Sundays. He comes on Dennis's show and does his film review with Scar. Never want to miss that. We got Toski, the GOAT, back. No cap. He's been doing cut-ups film review with our boy Darnell. Dennis is still live every 3 days. We started a new pod, myself and Nick. You guys, if you're in the message board communities, you know him as Big Boutros, the Victor's Weekly. We've been running that. So there's pretty much something on the channel every single day, even though Hail to the Podcast has been kind of ghost for a little bit. So like I always say, please like, subscribe, notification bell when we go live. We love having you guys be a part of the conversation so we can do what we're doing right now and answer questions and just kind of chat. So if you're listening back on podcast or watching this back, appreciate you. But like I said, make sure you do notification bell so you know when we go live. We try to talk with you guys, interact with you as much as possible. And of course, head over to Amazing Blue Review. If you're not a subscriber already, we're on the On3 platform, which means you have access to all of the On3 national intel, all of the rivals, recruiting intel and insider posts, all of the Michigan intel insider posts, access to our message board community, The Den, where you could have seen Josh's intel all week and a little bit more detailed about some of the stuff on the defense and just other things we've been hearing. So if you're not a member already, please join. It's only $1 for the first week. And Derek, what do we got? Circuit City reference. Maybe MSU can search the Circuit City bin for a coach. I'm right here. I'm ready. Just kidding. If MSU fires Smith, I don't know if they're a top 3 Big Ten job this offseason. They're not, are they? Because what we'd have Penn State, Wisconsin, probably. Maryland is potentially going to be open. Who am I forgetting? Iowa, potentially. He's back.
I'm back.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's just saying MSU is probably not even a top 3 job in the Big Ten this offseason because Penn State's open, Wisconsin's potentially open. Like, I don't know. I thought Smith was a good hire given their current situation. I don't know what the equitable move would be there with him this offseason, but I just if Urban Meyer goes, I'm so sick of hearing about the Urban Meyer thing. Like, I just don't see him wanting to coach and recruit against Ohio State every year. Why would he do that? And he's like Saban. They don't want anything to do with this parity where everybody can do NIL.
That's true.
If we're being honest. So I don't know. We'll see. The dialogue after this game is going to be very interesting, regardless of what happens. Obviously, if Michigan somehow loses, oh God, I'm going to hate our jobs for the next week.
Week? Next 365.
Yeah. No, that'll be bad. I mean, any goodwill Sherrell built up this last week is gone.
Yep.
With an MSU loss. And people forget Harbaugh 2020 when they lost, all the changeover and then the big year, and then they lost to MSU in 21. All right, that's it. Time to fire him. And then MSU choked the next week and kind of opened the door. Michigan beats Ohio State, and then obviously the rest is history. But like, people were ready to fire Harbaugh after that 21 MSU loss. So
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know why my phone's blowing up. That should be interesting. All right. I already did the stuff. We'll try and be back Sunday on Hail to the Podcast. But like I said, notification bell when we go live. We appreciate you guys. Good viewership for us just randomly popping up. So as always, thank you for being a part of it. And we'll see you over at Maize and Blue Review on on3.com. Thank you guys.